grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear a pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny, sunny, sunny side of the street.
Hi, welcome to another Sunny Side of the Street. I'm your host, Todd Gross, a clinical psychologist and director of Adams Street Associates in Newton. And our show for the past 20 years has tried to take a look at the side of the news that you very rarely hear, which is the positive side. People in organizations doing really positive things, people overcoming odds, inspiring stories, and organizations and people that are really trying to do things that are going to better our living conditions and do good in the world. So that's been the theme of the show. And one of the things that I think is really important is some of the skills and values that develop for young people as they're trying to do things to contribute. And many young people in the history of this show have been on talking about amazing things they have done to really help out other people and make a difference. Well, we're lucky enough today to have two groups of students, and the area we're going to be talking about is robotics, artificial intelligence. We're going to be talking about positive uses of robots and artificial intelligence, and we're going to have students and their coaches. Two students from Newton with their Coach Fitz, John, and Amanda Frobisher, and Jay Sapper Sidney, and I'm sorry, and in the Watertown group, the Watertown High School Robotics, it'll be Alexandra and Bianca and Levon, and we're going to be talking to them particularly not only about the work they do in school with the robotics teams in each of their communities, but also some of the values that are underneath it. And I think by the time you finish, you'll see that there's a lot to what they're doing and a lot of implications for good things in the world, the sunny side of the street. Okay, so maybe as a way of starting, I think what I'd like to do is ask first the students, and you can maybe go in the order, we'll just make up an arbitrary order, the two Newton students and then the students from Watertown. Just to say a little bit, to introduce yourself, what year you're in school, how long you've been involved in robotics, and also what drew you to it. So let me ask maybe the Watertown students first, if they could say a little bit about that, and you can, whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. My name is Levon. I'm a junior right now. It's my third year of high school. I've been a part, this is my fourth year on doing first robotics. I've been doing it since 8th grade. And what drew me to is I've always been interested in STEM since I was little. And so I really wanted to get this experience with them.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes. And
my name is Bianca. I'm also a junior, and this is my third year on the robotics team after I started freshman year. And what drew me to robotics is that I was really interested in like engineering and science, and I had friends already going to the robotics meetings. So in freshman year, I just decided to go one day.
that's great. Thank you. And if we could shift to the Newton team, can I hear a little bit of what you would say as students too? No,
So
coach is next.
I'm Jay. This
Hi,
is my
Jay.
fourth year on the team. I joined in freshman year. I'm currently a senior. And I joined the Ligerbots to learn more about electrical and mechanical engineering. And since then, have done a lot of work with the awards team as well as electrical.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And also from our other student at North, in Newton.
I'm Amanda. I'm a senior at North. This is my 4th year on the team, and I've been interested in robotics since I was young. And when I was in like 5th grade, I learned of Ligerbots and joined in my freshman year.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And for the coaches to weigh in a little bit, to say a little bit about, maybe a little bit about the goals of your organization, the history of it, and how long you've been involved, and also what drew you to it too. So maybe Coach Fitz, maybe start us off here.
Sure. So this is my 13th season with the team, right? So the team was formed at the end of 2008, and my wife said, I've got a lot to do around the house. Get the kids out of the house for the day. There's a Lego thing going on. Go take them to that. And it was a first Lego League tournament that was run by the Ligerbots, who had just formed. My kids loved it. They wanted to do it. And I thought to myself, my son was in 7th grade, my daughter in 4th. And I thought, if I could help the team get going and make sure it was still there when my kids got to high school, wouldn't that be great? My son's now in graduate school. My daughter's a junior in college, and I'm still coaching the team. Just a great experience.
Thank you. It's wonderful to hear that. And how about you, Alexandra?
Yeah, this is my third season with our team. Watertown has been a robotics team since also 2008. I actually did robotics in middle school and high school. So when I graduated college, I wanted to be able to help others. So I ended up joining one of the local teams.
I love that. That's one of the examples we've had a lot on this show, where people do something that they really benefit from, and then they pay it forward by contributing it back. Thank you for that too. One thing also in starting to talk about this, there's a couple terms that I read on your websites, and I wanted to make sure people can understand what we're talking about. So if whoever can help me define what we mean by the word FIRST, F-I-R-S-T, what that stands for. And secondly, there was a word called gracious professionalism. I think it'll give people a little bit of the idea of what's so important about the way you do what you do. Whoever wants to, can you tell me what FIRST stands for?
Jay, you want to take that one?
Sure. So
on that.
Sure. So FIRST is an organization founded by Dean Kamen in 1989, and it stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. And so it is essentially a large corporation, is not the right word for it, but it's a large organization that has multiple different robotics tournaments underneath it. It has the first Lego League, which is for younger kids to experience robotics using Legos and Lego robotics. It has the first Technical Challenge, or FTC, which has different ways for teams to actually accomplish a goal outside of a competition. And then there's FRC, or the First Robotics Competition, which is what I believe the Quarks and ourselves are a part of, where you build a robot to complete a certain game, and then you compete at different events with other teams. And
that's
so
a great explanation. Yeah.
Thank you. So gracious professionalism is this ideology created by one of FIRST's founding members, Woody Flowers, who tragically passed away a couple of years ago. And it's essentially a way of doing things that encourages high quality work, emphasizes the values of others, and utmost respect for your peers and your opponents. So in FIRST, you don't know if you're going to end up on a team with one team and then against them another time, because there are teams of 3 and they shift in brackets. And so you don't know if for example, we're on a team with the Quarks one match, we might be against them another. And so you have to have that level of just the utmost respect for your opponents and your peers in the field, to the point where no matter if you win, no matter if you lose, everything is always a team effort. And the only thing that you should be taking away is just respect and admiration.
Wonderful. Well, you got to love those values. And again, very well said. I appreciate that a lot. Another question, just for all the students, anyone who wants to comment to talk a little bit about the events that you've participated in, the kind of challenges that you've done, and maybe if there's also been, you've traveled or there's been awards, so people get a little feel of, what happens at these events.
I'll go first. For my first year of
Thanks.
robotics, I participated in one event, and during this event, the objective was to put these orange balls into a spaceship and also put the attached discs onto the spaceship too. And at the end of the match, you climb up like on different levels. And so it was really surreal for me to actually experience it. And for our team, we won the interface, like a really good interface system where on the computer we could like click where we wanted to put the balls or the discs, and our robot would always do it.
Wow, interesting. Thank you. And how about for you?
I've only gone to one event, which was the same event, Steamtown Blitz in 2019. It was a postseason event. And since then, we haven't really been able to go to many competitions because of coronavirus, but I'm really
Yes.
excited to start going to competitions again this year.
Yeah, I was wondering about what the effect of COVID would be in terms of being able to, get together in the same indoor space or something, maybe. So, but thank you for that too. And I wonder if any of the students from North want to comment a little on what they've, been involved in too.
Yeah, so I've been able to go to 3 official events being a senior. And so like it really changes each year because each year it's a new game with new challenges.
Yes.
So like, for example, this year or 2020, we had to shoot like dodgeball sized yellow balls into either a low area or a high zone. And then like also during the end of the match, there's like a giant hanger or like a clothes hanger looking thing. And you could, you would deploy like a hook or something and you would hang from that. So.
I love it. That's great. It's interesting. So there's a lot of variety too in what you're asked to do in these challenges, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. And any other comments that people want to make from Newton?
Yeah, so as I said, we've been around. This is our 13th season. We've actually been fortunate enough to make it to the World Championships a few times, and that's a really great experience for the students. We've been to St. Louis and Detroit, and actually the first year as a rookie we made it, and that was down in at Disney World. But the whole team comes.
Wow, what a start.
The team. We stay in a hotel. It's a great bonding experience for the team. And we've literally met teams from all over the world. It's a really great experience.
That is incredible. That really is very exciting. And, there's so much you learn when you travel and you meet other people from other places who have similar interests too. That's great. I think what I wanted to do was take a couple minutes here and show a couple videos that will give people an idea of you guys in action. And so we're gonna stop and take a look at a bunch of videos just so you can see a little bit what it looks like. And it's interesting. Some of the stuff you'll see may surprise you how accurate the robots can be. So let's take a look at some of these videos for a minute, and we'll be right back.
So one more from the green.
Okay, now you've seen these videos, and you can tell that like in one of them, they're shooting these yellow balls and surprising accuracy and stuff like that. It's pretty amazing that you're able to come up with that level of accuracy, but that goes to the training and all the work that the students and the coaches put in to try to make this, what you do, as accurate as possible. So I want to ask you a few things about this. I feel like you, from what I read on your websites, and I know you'll add to this in person, these are questions for everybody, anybody who wants to comment, that there are a lot of rewards for participating in an activity like what you're doing. And, you know, I look at it and I see, yes, sometimes it's the excitement of winning a contest. But more than that, there's also things like facing challenges, learning skills of all kinds, participating together as a team, and the kind of values and experiences and memories that you all share because you go through these things together. So I wanted to mention a few of the kinds of rewards that I saw on the websites that were talked about, but have you bring them to life by giving examples or saying how you feel about them. So I'm going to take them one at a time. The first one is the benefits of learning how to work as a team. Anybody who wants to comment on that, because everything I saw on that website was the concept of teamwork, and I love that. And that's something I'm very proud of you guys for what you're doing, all of you. So can any of you comment a little bit of what that means to you working as a team, what you've learned, or anything you want to say about teamwork?
I could go. So as a team, it's like this whole competition is basically a team work, and we all work as a team. And so if we go down, we're going to go down together. And if we rise, we're going to rise up together. So if someone like makes a mistake on the road, we're not going to put them down. We're all going to try to help them to fix the mistake if they made one. And we're all going to try to praise someone if they like did something good.
That makes sense. Everything you do also depends on what everybody else does. And so you're all caring about working and having it flow together. Makes sense. Any other comments about that from anybody?
Yeah, and I'd like to add on, like within the team itself, there's a bunch of different sub teams like electrical, manufacturing, CAD, marketing, graphics, and we all work together within the various sub teams to build like a working robot.
Yes, yeah, and it, to me, what I think about is, yes, you have to cooperate, and you each are working on different sets of skills, but they're all interconnected to the final product. And also, I imagine that one of the things that you're doing as a team many times is brainstorming or troubleshooting, stuff like that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, a huge part of what we do as our work as a team is looking through prototype designs and discussing, like, as a team, which ones will be best or how best to do this. And it's never about like saying anyone's idea will be like bad or that kind of thing. It's that we're all trying to work together to build the best robot possible, and that everyone's ideas are really valuable for that.
I hear you. It's interesting because, you know, I think about, it's often talked about how when you're in sports, everybody has to work together for the team to do well. But it's also true in what you're doing. It's the same kind of principle. And that's, to me, it's such a valuable skill. Also, the STEM, the science, engineering, technology, and math, you're all learning a lot of skills. I wonder if you could comment on what that's like as students, especially the students, to hear what you feel about that. Does it ever cut across what you're learning in school and other subjects, you know, in some of the subjects at school, or is it totally like this separate world when you go to robotics?
I can go. So one of my classes in school was actually a robotics class. And so coming from having experience with the robotics first, it was really easy for me to get a good grade in the class and to actually do good in the class.
I see. That's interesting. So it did help. Any other comments about just the skills, the science, engineering, math skills kinds of stuff?
Yeah, so I also took a robotics course my freshman year. And that class did not prepare me for the Lagerbots in the slightest, in my opinion, because when you're working in a classroom setting, you know, you're getting the technical, you're getting the history, you're getting you're getting the whole process built into one. And
Yeah.
on the Lagerbots, for me at least, I've noticed that specialization is so paramount to being able to get a robot done in 6 weeks time during our build season. But even with that, you know, my abilities and my learning in math last year for trigonometry, my ability to learn algebra, you know, my
Yes.
physics learning in freshman year, all of that culminates into being able to understand, okay, this is the angle that the ball should go at. This is how these two pieces should work together. This is how heavy this can be. And so there are so many different applications within robotics that just make it so much easier when you know the basics through school, which is phenomenal.
You know that's really interesting, Jay. I was thinking that the marriage between academics and action, practical kinds of things is what you're bringing up, and it goes both ways, you know, and being able to learn things, the foundation in the subjects. A lot of times when kids are taking some of these subjects, they're not really thinking about, well, how is this ever going to affect my life in any way practically at all? And you guys are seeing the connection, which is very interesting. So that's another one of, I think, the benefits and rewards of doing this. There's another.
If I could just share one quick story.
Sure, please,
we have a student who graduated a few years ago before even Jay and Amanda came on the team. He actually did a TEDx talk. He was at I think it was at BU. He had the robot on stage with him, and he was talking about the whole process and things. And my favorite quote from that was he said that when you're trying to shoot a ball at your best friend, the back of your best friend's head, physics really comes alive.
I love it. Anybody have any other comments about the science engineering, or should we move on? What do you think? Anybody else have anything?
Well, I mean, we all are big proponents of robot dodgeball, but robotics does definitely help with physics and learning, like especially physics and geometry, especially when actually building the robot is really helpful.
Yeah.
To keep those things in mind when you're trying to build.
I want to ask all of you this too. I want to hear the coach's perspective on this too. One of the things as a psychologist that really matters a lot to me in working with people is any things that really help build their self-confidence, number one, and number two, their leadership skills, both of which are so important. And I wonder if both students and coaches, I'd like to hear a little bit about from the students' point of view, what have they noticed about how this affects the involvement with the robotics team has affected self-confidence, and also in any way being a leader in a sense in your life? That's for everybody. So whoever wants to.
Yeah, so robotics definitely helps your self-confidence because it's a really cool experience to be able to have an idea, prototype it, and then actually put it to work in a real competition. And it really improves, your ideas of yourself, because now you can actually see your ideas being put to life.
That's very interesting what you said about it really when you actually see the results of your work. Sometimes in school, you might get a grade, but you don't feel a direct connection of any other result of what you've learned, maybe till later in something else. But here you see it right away and it's tangible. That's why, even though I'm a psychologist and I work with people's problems and issues, I love washing dishes because they're done. You know, you can see the result. They're dry, they're clean, and you're finished. So that was a good point. And any other comments too about how it affects yourself, how it's had impact on confidence or leadership?
Yeah, so the students are given a lot of leadership opportunities. We have our own like club officers, what we call execs. And there's also opportunities to organize outreach events within our community. So like, for example, I joined as a freshman, right? And I hated speaking in public. I couldn't do it for the life of me. Like,
You're not alone. There's a lot of people that feel that way. You're right. Yeah.
yeah. And so I've been giving all these opportunities to improve, and now I can do it to a certain extent.
That's exciting to hear, and good for you. Really, that's great. Any other comments too? Coaches, what do you see in terms of those of you that have been coaching a little bit? What have you noticed that the changes in self-confidence and leadership in the students that you've worked with through the times that you've been there?
Yes, certainly. So as I said, I've watched countless students go from being freshmen to being seniors, and some of it is just the maturation as you get older.
Sure.
But clearly there are certain skills that they pick up. Certain students gravitate to particular things. Jay's being a little bit modest here, right? But he's been actually leading a team that's training other students to teach the rest of the team how to do what we call elevator pitches, right? How do you discuss robotics in the team in like 2 minutes, right? So watching students like that grow over time and assume some of these roles. We've had, a freshman girl came in, was very, very quiet, but she really liked the electronics stuff. So she became our electrical lead as a freshman, and eventually she became a national finalist for what's called the Dean's List Award, which is a student scholarship award. So she was a national finalist for that. She's still our only national finalist. But to see her mature over time and grow into the leadership role, she became our chief technical officer for that kind of stuff. So there are definitely students that you see that just sort of take over a role that they never would have expected either. Right? So
that's great. That's great. And way to go, Jay. And also, I think
Thank you.
What definitely it's great. It's something to be very proud of. And I'm thinking that related to self-confidence, that one of the things I'm learning from listening to all of you is that because it's a cooperative venture, everybody's voice counts. And part of building self-confidence is to have your voice listened to and contribute to something. And I'm thinking that probably all of you that have worked on any of these projects, there's a day where you spoke up about something or had to say something. And the fact that and this is a credit to coaches, I think too, the fact that you've created this kind of environment where it's safe for people and actually rewarded for people to speak up and to contribute and to work together and to be respectful of each other's contributions towards the end goal. That certainly feels like, really helping self-confidence too. Alexandra, I didn't give you a chance. Anything you want to add?
Well, like in regards to self-confidence, it's really fun to see a student be unsure, doesn't really have the experience of robotics at all, not know how to program, not know how to CAD. And then at the end of the year, see them to say, hey, I can program, I can do CAD, and just they're confident and happy about it. It's just so fun to see them.
That goes to the point that I think when people develop competencies, that makes them proud that I know how to do this, and so if something comes up, they get a chance to do it. And show off what they did and feel good about that they know how to do this. And even if they don't get asked about it, they know it's something they're competent in. So it's a good feeling. There's another thing that really moved me when I was reading your websites and your description. And you've made a little mention of it, but I want to highlight it for the people who are watching, and hopefully some of them may be future recruits for your organizations, I hope too. The concept of winning is very different. I saw things on your website talking about being a good sport, helping out your team member. Also, if somebody else is around from another team, someone mentioned you never know, they might be on your team the next time. Also, a team from a different school, and you have a tool that they need, and they haven't got it. and they ask you, and you, part of what the expectation is, being a good citizen in a sense, is you share your tools too. And that is something I just love. The opposite of that is saying we've got to win at all costs, and that's the only thing that matters, winning the contest, as opposed to you're also a winner if you learn how to share and work cooperatively in all forms, even with, quote, the competition. So I'm wondering if I could ask you guys a little bit to comment about the different definition of winning. It was very impressive when I looked at it on the website. You know, being a good sport, helping your team, and also even helping rival teams if they need things. Anybody who wants to talk about that, what that was like doing that and how they felt about it.
Yeah, so within FIRST, as I mentioned earlier, there really is that concept of gracious professionalism and cooperation that transfers and just, you know, translates between teams. I know that at competitions before, we've had motors break, or we've had specific pieces of our robot just stop working, and other teams have just immediately offered theirs, just without having to be coerced or anything. And we've done the same for others. And so the point of FIRST, the real entire philosophy is competition for the betterment of science. And with having, if you have that staunch competition, if you have that, no, these are our secrets, these are our materials, you guys are on your own, nothing gets done. You don't have that innovation that is the driving force of FIRST. I remember a couple of years ago, before I joined the team, there was an event where you essentially had to launch a 3-foot wide yoga ball over a net or over a goalpost. And that was the game. And this one team just decided to innovate and say, well, it just has to go over. So they made a claw that raised it up and just spun it over a whole bunch of times. It's the innovation that you can have on these teams is incredible. And having a spirit of winners and losers just is so detrimental to the overall focus. So what I've learned from FIRST, at least, is that there is no such thing as winning. There is no such thing as losing. Everyone wins as long as the end goal is innovation and improvement of society.
Very nicely said. It's a win-win. And I think several points come from what you said, Jay. I think one is that when you have this kind of more cooperative ethic rather than really being contestants against each other, it allows for a lot more creativity. And, that comes out of that, and that's a plus. And I was also thinking that, our recent situation with the COVID vaccine is a great example. All of a sudden, we had people in labs all over the world cooperating to try to develop this vaccine to help us out. And it was a great example of, it wasn't like, well, we'll just keep ours for us and we're not going to tell you what we've learned. It was to everybody's benefit to really cooperate. And you guys are a perfect example of that. And anybody else want to comment on that, this kind of professionalism, this kind of, cooperative spirit, and how it feels for you guys?
Yeah, I'll just throw in. So in addition to the robot game that gets played, the teams also, as you mentioned earlier, get judged for various awards. There's an award called the Chairman's Award, which is for the team that best represents the ideals of the FIRST program. And this team may not have, and often doesn't have, the best robot, right? And but it's the most prestigious award in FIRST. And at every tournament, the team that wins the Chairman's Award always gets a standing ovation. That every team there is so appreciative of the team that wins this award, because they're just a great team, whether their robot happens to be a championship robot or not. And so that level of appreciation for the amount of work that goes in, because every team knows how hard it is and stuff. And to see a team get recognized for that, every team just immediately gives them a standing ovation. It's really, really cool.
I think that's a beautiful sight to see, I am sure. And I can't help but thinking, I wish that we could extend what you just described to our society as a whole in so many ways. It's such a great thing for us to really reinforce in a very public way, which is part of why I'm doing this show, because I love what you're doing. I love that principle of, you know, the chairman, that kind of way of recognizing people for how they cooperate really well. Incredibly, I can't understate it. So that's why I may belabor it a little bit, because I think it's great. And just another thing for people watching, you've made mention of this, lots of the people have so far, but can you say some of the different kinds of things that robots are able to do, your own examples and what you know of too, just for people who are interested? I want to get into the topic a little bit of positive use of robots versus negative in a minute, but I want to hear some of the things that you've been able to do with the robots over the years and what you're aware of robots can do. That's for anybody.
Okay, I'll jump in. So as we said, every year there's a different game, right? So we've built robots that can shoot various kinds of balls, frisbees, right? They one game was to pick up inflatable symbols. The first symbols are a circle, a triangle, and a square, right? And so these big, 3-foot inflatable things, the robot had to be able to pick those up and put them on like a tic-tac-toe board and things. So we've designed robots that can actually use a kind of a claw to pick things up and move things, or to transport stuff. A couple of years ago, there was a game where we were actually just trying to stack recycle bins on top of each other and put them in the right place and things. So robots can be built to do just about anything. And teams that have been around as long as the Quarks and us have actually done a lot of that.
Interesting.
Yeah, to go along with that, a lot of the robots we've had have also had to do like other challenges, such as climb onto a platform or try and balance on like a teeter-totter, or climb and hang on from some bar above them. It's just a lot more that they can do.
Yeah. Interesting too. I was thinking, there are drones and there are robots that can, be in warfare, but there are also robots that can help seniors, with that have people who have physical disabilities. Amazing what they could do when they come into a home and help somebody that's disabled. And I don't know if any of you heard of it, but somebody was telling me that there were some dogs that got caught in a volcanic pit somewhere in the world recently, within the last few weeks, and they used robots to lowered them down to try to pick up the dogs and get them out of the hole. I mean, that's just another example. Anybody else know any or have feelings about positive uses of robots too?
Yeah, sure. So we actually had a presentation on this, I think, last Monday from Bear Technologies. And so, which is actually based right here in Newton.
Yeah.
They've done some amazing work with robotics, recently working and creating a robot called BERT that helps senior citizens, or anybody really who's suffered from traumatic brain injury or stroke, to help recover by having different, haptic sensory things that really allow for that force and that movement to be restored to the part of the body that might not have that left. And robotics is it's always framed as this stepping stone to AI, in my view, whenever I see it on the news. And,
Yes.
and the reality is that it's entirely designed to better human society. I mean, without robots, we wouldn't have conveyor belts. We wouldn't have the ability to manufacture the way that we do today, and give people the ability to shift out of, just factory machine jobs into more advanced jobs, designing those robots instead of having to just screw in things into an iPhone themselves. And so it's a phenomenal industry where, yes, there are robotic dogs that have been mounted with guns for warfare. Yeah, of course there are going to be drones that are autonomous, but robotics is so much bigger than the negative things that we'll see on the news. And it's so inspiring to see all of these talented engineers develop these incredibly life-saving devices for the betterment of society.
That really needs to be said. I mean, you're giving a much broader perspective, as you said, than what you hear on the news. It's more fear-based, because unfortunately, that's why I do this show, because I think so much of the news is really, they want the drama of something that's scary and negative. But what gets lost is all the good things that you're saying you heard and are being done. And then on a humorous level, I was thinking of the Roombas, the vacuums, that clean the room. And somebody told me that they programmed a Roomba so that when it bumped into furniture, it would curse. So that struck me as a very funny use of the technology. But it is great that and it's exciting about all the possibilities that could happen with the use of the technology that you guys are learning. And I think I want to ask another question about more just personally, like, what have you enjoyed most so far in your work with robotics? Does any situation or event stand out that really meant a lot to you? And I'd like to give everybody a chance if they want to say something about that too. Just something that stands out in all the things that you've done, a particular moment, an experience, an event, or just some accomplishment or something.
I'll go. When I went to my first event, it was so surreal. Like, there's so many like lights and so many teams with their robots. And it was really great to see how other teams were doing with the competition and how they're facing the challenges that we did. And like how we could relate to them on the same level and how we face the same challenges and different challenges. And it's all surreal to me when I first went to my competition.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a good point. Watching other people and seeing how they react to similar things. You keep growing when you hear other people that are trying to face the same challenges. How about you, Bianca? What would you say?
Probably going to the kickoff event in New Hampshire in 2020 was really, really cool, because that's when they unveiled the challenge for the year. And just to be there with so many teams and have everyone get really excited about all of the ideas they have for the next season is really, really cool. And again, really surreal to just see.
Yeah, as you and Levon are saying in this, it's also I would think, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would think it's a very exciting feeling to know you're part of something bigger than yourselves, and everybody gets excited and it's contagious.
100%.
What do you think, Alex, from your experience with this? What as did from both ends? What are a couple moments that might stand out for you?
So one moment that I really remember is I was volunteering at a competition. One team didn't have bumpers on the robot, which they're supposed to for safety, but they had so many teams and so many volunteers trying to help them add the bumpers to the robot so they'd be able to compete. And it's just so happy. It just makes me so happy to see the amount of people that try to help them to allow them to compete.
Yes, yeah, it's wonderful. That is great. And can I ask some of the Newton people a little bit about what they felt too? Anything that stood out to them?
Yeah, so I think like Levon mentioned, at competitions, there's loud music, it's playing, right? And a specific moment is our matches were done and we were waiting for them to start announcing awards, and they start playing like party music, and there's a bunch of people just going onto the floor and they start dancing like Cotton Eye Joe. And it was really amazing to see everybody being able to do it. So
yeah, it's kind of a release of energy too. That's really wonderful. That feeling. Definitely very exciting. Anything else from Newton?
Adding on to what what Amanda said. My freshman year, there was a competition, and we actually have a mascot. For the Liger bots, we have a giant Liger costume with one of our t-shirts on it. And
Cool.
it's a great costume. It's a great costume. But a friend of mine freshman year was chosen to wear the mascot costume. And at this event, just decided to get up middle of competition. Our team wasn't even going, started standing in the corner and just did as many crazy dance moves as he possibly could. It wasn't the Cotton Eye Joe, it wasn't the Macarena. This dude was like break dancing in a Liger box and like a Liger costume. He had like a lion head on, and he was just break dancing in the middle of competition. It was so funny. I have the video, and it's one of the videos that whenever someone asks me why do I love that Liger box, I just show them that, and they're hooked.
And that brings out another part of what I think is it doesn't get talked about much when you think about groups that work together, but you develop your own jokes, you develop your own funny experiences that just make you feel so excited and having so much fun at doing something, even if it's serious at other times. It's balanced by the laughs you have together, and I think that bonds people a lot too. That's the best. And I'm glad you said it. That was an interesting experience too. And did I give Coach Fitz that chance? I don't think I did on this one yet.
Yeah, so there were the events that stand out most for me, as I mentioned, we were fortunate enough to make it to the World Championships a couple of times. And at one point we were, again, the competition is always 3-on-3, and it's a random draw as to who you're with and who you're against. So we had one competition, the 3 teams we were against were all in the top 20 of the 100 robots in our division. And we were, one of the teams that we were paired with was number 100. They were in last place. They hadn't won a match all day. And so a couple of our students went over to talk to them. They were from, I think they were from Denmark. Their robot was damaged in transport. And so, and they couldn't fix it, which was why they kept losing. That particular game was very important that all 3 robots, did something in the match. They all had to work. So our students helped them fix their robot. We got out onto the field and we actually won the match. And these students were just beside themselves with, because after a day and a half of nothing but losing, they finally won a match, and it was just really, really great to see. And our kids were actually more excited for them than for the fact that we won the match. It was really cool.
I love that story. That's a classic. That is awesome. And if you're one of those students like from your group and you see that you did this incredibly good deed and you created so much happiness and good feelings, and it crosses international line too. You're great ambassadors for the country as well, but you're also just people to people. Wonderful to do that, and people learn that they can sometimes really, it's not only the pride of yourself winning. Sometimes when you enable somebody else to do something against the odds that they've been facing, it's a very special feeling. And that story I will remember, Coach. That was really amazing too. Wonderful. I want to ask a little bit another question about future. For both for students, but even maybe Alexandra, you could comment on this, having been, a student yourself, and your comments are always helpful, Coach Fitz, too. So I'm including everybody on this. That the things that you're learning from robotics, do you feel like they may have some positive impact both on you in the future and plans you have, and maybe on humanity as a whole, even thinking really big, because think about how many people that have learned things that you're learning now and are now in all kinds of jobs all over the world that are doing amazing things, as people have said. So what kind of future directions for yourself, and how you think you might use this both for yourself and also maybe to better humanity? And I'd like everybody to have a chance to say something about that, whatever your opinion is. So let's start in Watertown. Let's go over there, and you guys help me out first, and then we'll go to Newton. You've been so amazing already, all of you. Keep going. So let's start with Watertown.
I'll go.
Thanks,
So,
Luan.
in the future, I definitely see myself coming back to the robotics team as a mentor, and I feel like I could better humanity by teaching these young kids my knowledge that I have, so that they can rise up and they can also have these inventions that can help humanity.
That's great. That's great. Wonderful. Great goal too. How about you, Bianca?
Well, since I don't plan on actually going into engineering in college, I'm planning on going into more of like politics and government. But I think that the values of teamwork and cooperation will really help me in college and like working on group projects and just generally being able to have a better experience.
That's a really good point too, Bianca. I'm thinking too, that in adult life and in a lot of jobs that are out there, which you'll be looking at some point, teamwork is so important. So yeah, that was really good what you both said. And how about for you? What do you think, Alexander? Any ways that you have the perspective of having been there and now in a different place?
I know that without robotics, I would not be in the career I'm in right now. I would not have gone to the same college.
What are you doing now, just so I can know?
Oh, I'm a software engineer.
Great, okay.
I would not have learned anything about programming if I didn't do robotics. And the other thing with robotics is it taught me a lot about like volunteer work. And one of the main reasons why I do a lot of volunteer work now.
Wow, that's another interesting point, besides the connection to job. And I say this for everybody, especially for the students that my wife and I have continued, we each had careers, but the idea of volunteering, which leads to working with people with like values and cooperating, it can add to your life. You have your job, but then you also have these experiences. And maybe some of you already had these experiences where you volunteered too, but I'm glad you brought that out. That's a very important piece of this too. All right, we're ready for Newton, guys. Well, how about you people? What do you think about sort of effects on your career and maybe on humanity too?
Yeah, so I mean, I also am most likely not going to be going into a robotics field in college, but I am going to be going into chemistry.
Okay.
And what I've really learned is just all of the skills that you learn as a part of an FRC team, specifically a part of the LigerBots, they're transitive to every industry and they're transitive to everything. You know, it's innovation for the sake of innovation rather than innovation for the sake of profit or individual incentive. It's bettering others because you want them to succeed. And having those values of just cooperation and having also that STEM application and that being able to see, okay, this is what I learned in physics last year, this is how I apply it in real life. Having that immediate feedback is so helpful for confidence boosting. As we were talking about earlier, being able to see the effects of your work immediately and see, okay, this is where I messed up, this is what I have to do next time in real time with real effects, you learn it way better. You learn the effects of what you're doing way better. It's not just an abstract physics problem. It's not just an abstract calculus problem. It's tangible. And so taking that into the future, I know that I'll be able to, when I go into whatever field I go into, depending on where I end up in 5-10 years, I'll still have those skills of being able to see, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I do it. And this is how I do it so others can better themselves.
I love that concept of others bettering themselves coming from, the experiences. And I was thinking of Coach Fitz's story too, about how there's some happy people in Denmark because of that too. And another thing that I thought about on your comments, I think, was that you also, we haven't said this yet, but you also learn about an attitude about mistakes. Instead of mistakes as being something that you failed at or something like that, they're learning experiences, they're chances to grow, and you make mistakes in the process of building these robots, but that isn't what matters. It's that you learn that you can work around mistakes, they're challenges, and you can figure out what to do. Anybody else on the Newton team too?
Yeah, so like Dre and Bianca, I'm also not looking into a robotics career. But I do know that the skills that I have learned on Ligerbots are going to be super important, like in my future for both college and, my future occupation. So, yeah.
That's great. And I'm going to give you the last word, Coach Fitz, on anything that you want to add too.
Sure. So there are a number of kind of catchphrases from the first program. We've talked about gracious professionalism and things. The other two are that this is the only sport where every student can turn pro, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the other one, the other big one is, we're not using students to build robots. We're using robots to build students.
Nice. That's a great way to sum it up. Oh, by the way, can you and also maybe Alexander tell us, for people that have kids that might be interested in this, future kids to be in these programs, what's the best website to contact each of the two organizations? And we'll post that on the screen for people, when the show airs.
Okay. For us, we have a website, team2423.org, which has all our contact information and more information about our program.
Team2423.org.
Yes.
Thank you. And how about Coach Fitz for you?
Yeah, so our website is ligerbots.org, right? And there's a lot of information there. You can also send an email to COO@ligerbots.org. That goes to our Chief Operating Officer, which is a student position. And but we'll respond to that and get more information.
Okay. I guess I'd just like to say one thing in closing, besides the fact that you're all awesome and it was a great job. I'm always impressed when I do these shows with the thinking and experiences and things that young people talk to me about on the show, what they're doing and why they're doing it. And this is another example of that. I wish all of you to do wonderful things out there with what you've learned. And I have so much respect for that. And to the coaches, thank you for giving of your time and making this experience so meaningful. I hope to our viewers watching that this is very inspiring. You take a look at a group of people that are involved in activity, but you look at how they approach the activity, what they want to get out of it, and how they work together to make it happen. And to me, that is the sunny side of the street. So I, again, want to thank all of you for coming today and really, really say that what you're doing is fabulous. And to our viewers, I hope you learned something today that was interesting. And I hope soon that you'll tune in for another sunny side of the street and watch us again. Thanks for coming, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Hold
you.
on, everybody.
On the doorstep, just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear a pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny, sunny, sunny side of the street.